Alright guys, we are back for another Dokkan Battle video, man. Every time I go do something, Dokkan is like, time to announce stuff. So, I didn't expect to see this so soon. Announcement video for part 2 of the worldwide campaign. Now, so let's read this. Info about the animations and abilities of the new characters for the Worldwide Celebration Heated Showdown Campaign Part 2. Now, let's head over to the Celebration info. I was sitting here waiting for Part 2 on the 10th and the banners on the 13th. That's what I thought we were going to be getting for Part 2 of the Worldwide Download Celebration. But I mean, this is making it seem like, are they really going to just drop the info? I mean, this is 6 PST, so this is the morning of the 11th, and then we're going to wait 2 days? One of the, I think, big strengths of this Worldwide Download Celebration, which I think a lot of y'all will agree, because it sucked for the Global 9th Anniversary, is the celebration started with the drop of the banners, right? Boom, they're out. Remember, Global 9th Anniversary, it's like, all right, celebration is here, and then it was, 48 hours until the banners actually came out, which was dumb. So, is this going to happen again? We'll see. We'll see. I want to take a look at the celebration info, because you could always see kind of like the little hints and stuff like that to some of the dates, right? Like, where is the... Yeah, the Elder Kai banner goes until the 13th, which typically is a hint. And then where are the stones? Did I go by the stones? The stones go until the 11th. The 11th. Okay. Well, actually, I guess the characters might be out on the 11th then. It seems a little early. I have Sword of Hope Trunks and Future Gohan here. I mean, they were on the 14th. Yeah. So I mean, it looks like we're about to get the drop for these characters. Looks like we're about to see. Now, I mean, there is a lot that we could be seeing here. People are very upset about this worldwide right now, which I'll touch on in a second. But if we just take a look at some of the available options, like, people have been really, like, where is Tech LR Broly CCA? Like, people are, dude, the amount of times I've seen this guy mentioned, when, I mean, the reason this guy's not EZA'd yet is because he's going to in part 2. He's going to EZA in part 2. I do expect this guy's details to potentially be tweeted in an hour and a half. 4 a.m. my time, an hour and a half, I think we could see this guy's details tweeted. Not like, oh, coping or something like that. Like, no, like seriously, I think we'll see this guy probably in an hour and a half. LR Tech Broly, right? So with LR Tech Broly, dropping with part 2 of the celebration, the Family Kamehameha is very likely to be a Carnival LR or a Dokkan Fest LR. And then what is the second LR going to be, right? Is it going to be another Legendary Super Saiyan Broly? This guy is like okay-ish, as damn near like a sub option or something like that on these teams. This Broly, he's not like some, oh my god, gotta have him character. Then, I mean, I don't know. It does feel like, I mean, they could still just super EZA this guy. But this guy's super, like, this is from the first Broly movie. This Broly. So it made a ton of sense to EZA him during part 1. In my opinion, I do think that part 1 of this celebration would have been fine with just 2 additions. I think STR Broly's super EZA, and then this Trunks. I think if these 2 would have gotten their EZAs in part 1, I personally wouldn't have too much of an issue with the celebration. Again, we'll go over more in a second. But I think there was a hole in Broly, sure, but these 2 should have came out, I think, really at the exact same time. I mean, I don't care that 2 Legendary Super Saiyan Brolys EZA at the same time. One a Super EZA, one a regular EZA. Who cares? Just do it. Like, people, it's Super EZAs are fun. Although this is a character that he is actually so old and has been on so few banners that it would not surprise me if a lot of players don't have this Broly with a lot of dupes and stuff like that. Let me just quickly pull up. So if you guys are curious, you could do this with Dokkan Info. This is the best Dokkan tool. The only thing is I need this site to improve its speed a little bit. That's the one thing. We could look at all the banners Broly has been on. So what is the last, like, actual summonable banner he's been on? Not like one of these worldwide ticket banners. Worldwide ticket banners. Worldwide ticket banners. 2021 Saiyan Day is the last time this guy was on a banner. This STR Legendary Super Saiyan Broly. There it is, right there. And that, of course, is in Broly, and then there's the Trunks. And, of course, they should have sub-EZA'd this guy at the exact same time as in Legendary Super Saiyan Broly. Not a stretch by any imagination, because they've done this in Worldwide before. It was part 2, AGL Metal Cooler EZA'd, and then he got his sub-EZAs at the exact same time. Right, and they ran like one of those metal campaigns. They could have just did that with Trunks. No reason they couldn't have done that. So if they had sub EZA'd this Trunks and then EZA'd this guy, I think that part 1 for the celebration would have been fine. Right now, in terms of part 2, if we look at this, Broly is also from the first Broly movie right here. This guy, I don't expect we'll see this guy's Super EZA though. I mean, I'm certain if they're gonna Super EZA a Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, it's going to be the STR one first. In terms of Broly's from the second movie, we have it's these two LRs. These guys are both from the second Broly movie. I don't think that this guy will super. I mean, that would be. I mean, if they really wanted to get people excited, they would Super EZA this guy. Like, the reason they didn't Super EZA this Broly is because instead they're going to Super EZA this LR. I mean, that would be good. I'm not going to lie. That would be pretty fire. I don't know. Like, this guy, remember, EZA'd for that same Saiyan Day in 2021. That would be pretty fire. Like, they should just do that. I mean, typically with Dokkan, when it makes too much sense, it's not something they're going to do. But I do expect we'll see this guy EZAing. I think Goten and Trunks, we will probably see EZA at some point as well, very soon. Now, they did say the celebration is based around all 3 movies. So it's kind of like I don't know. Like, is Bio Broly going to be like a Dokkan Fest LR? I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't really care what they pick for the characters at this point. I think the part 1 characters were both A+. So, I mean, they could pretty much drop whatever, and I as long as the characters are good, I'm going to be content. Like, if they drop, Goten and Trunks as a Dokkan Fest LR at this point, like, I don't really mind too much. I think people who don't like the celebration are always going to not like the celebration forever. I mean, I've talked about this, but a lot of people in this community, once they make their mind on something, they refuse to change it no matter what. It's just like a thing, right? And, can't switch up, so I gotta just pretend like things are bad when they're bad, or I gotta pretend like things are good when they're not good, or I gotta pretend things are bad when they're good, I gotta pretend things are good when they're actually bad, right? Like, that's a huge thing in this community. So, whatever the part 2 LRs are, just, solid animations, good kits, hopefully good leader skills, and I'm chilling. I'm cooling with that. So again, we'll see. I guess on the 11th. I mean, this is pretty early. This is what 9 a.m. No, it's gonna be 10 a.m. Eastern my time. 10 a.m. Huh? Okay, I'll be ready. So we have that. We have the announcement video in part 2. And I did just want to point out too. So I made this post. I was gonna tweet this out a couple of days ago, but I couldn't format it correctly, and then I was like, well, I could take a picture. I just gave up. I was like, whatever. So we could just go over this here in a video. So this is everything in the Worldwide Download Celebration up to this point. A lot of people are upset about the Worldwide. They're saying there's no content. That's not true. There's just as much content basically here as there typically is. It's just that this year, the content is bad. That is the difference. Last year, we had elite content. This year, the content is not good. That's what the actual problem, the root of the problem is. Like, if the Supreme Magnificent Battle stages were very challenging. I think, that would have felt like people had stuff to do. I saw, people commenting, last year I was struggling to get the missions done. This year I just, rolled out of bed and got them done instantly. So I think more so the issue is just that the content is poor in this celebration rather than no content. Because people talk about this as the week. These EZA weeks is a thing that's been going on for 6 years, right? Like, this is expected that, this week is just EZA characters. Like, it's not like a new thing. So let's just go over. So we had a good EZA, again, up to this point, right before the start of Part 2. Because, I also saw someone say, oh my god, last year we had at least Int Goku Black. I know he was bad, but he was an extra EZA. Int Goku Black was Part 3 last year. Like, please. So we had a good EZA, Turles and EGL Zamasu. Bad EZA, Int Broly Tech Trunks. Here's where, originally, it got messed up, but here. Originally, I had it posted just like this. Yep, there we go. So this is a huge W that last year had over this year. 2 sub EZAs. And they were good. Int Mai and Gowasu and Zamasu, good sub EZAs. We had a story event, a new event for both. But then last year, remember, we got the stage added to the Future Trunks Saga event. Later on in Part 2, they added the Awakening and stuff like that. We had the free-to-play unit. Last year was just an SSR. This year, we could actually awaken Paragus. We both had a Stone event and a Skill Orb event. So, Red Zone / Supreme Magnificent Battle, here's the difference. This year, it's 3 mid-stages. Last year, we had 2 great stages and a mid-stage. We had Red Zone First Form Cell and Red Zone Goku Black. Both very good stages. Very good stages. And then 17 and 18 were kind of a mid-stage. That, I think, is a huge difference. Red Zone Goku Black was basically like the hardest fight in the game, right? At this point in the celebration, we already had a new hardest fight in the game, which, it gets things exciting. So I totally, and agree with people too that this year is not as good as last year. And that is a huge thing. Like, that new fight gives a jolt of energy. But yet again, Global is 90% of the player base, and, the 2 hardest fights, maybe the 3 hardest fights, are not on Global, right? Go figure. They decided to add half of the Supreme Magnificent Battle, very stupidly, I might add. Very, very, very stupidly. All right, so there's that. The Worldwide Download Celebration event. So this year, it was the Devil Awakens stage, and then last year, it was the Divine Wrath and Mortal Will. We had 4 stages in Part 1 for that, but they weren't very good. And then for Part 1, we had 1 great stage. Now, remember, last year, though, after that, we got, like, the Vegito Blue stage, the Fusion Zamasu stage, the Trunks stage. A bunch of exciting stages came in. So, that's a huge thing to remember. We'll see what happens this year. But last year, we got a bunch of good stages in Part 2 and Part 3. The Memorial event, again, there's no counterpart to this last year. So this is just all extra content this celebration has. I think the Broly and the Super Saiyan Goku stages are okay, and then the rest obviously are very mid. There's a support memory event. This doesn't really matter too much, but it is a thing. This year we have it. Now here's where I think last year's celebration crushes this year. This, to me, is the biggest difference. You could point out the Red Zone Goku Black stage and the First Form Cell stage. I think that's, like, huge. But this is probably even bigger. We had 4 Red Zone missions. 2 added to Red Zone Cell Max, 2 added to the Metal Cooler Core. That is huge content. Great content for a major celebration. And all dough content. I haven't even done this, and I'm gonna upload this today. The boring AoE event mission, which sucks ass. And then last year we had these awesome, it was what? Terrifying Conquer and Powerful Comeback against Metal Cooler Core. The intention was to use LR Cooler and, Tech Carnival Goku from last year's Worldwide against the missions, right? Good missions. And then I think it was a Super Class and an Extreme Class against Red Zone Cell Max. Again, good missions. And then we had 2 Fighting Legend Vegeta missions and 2 Fighting Legend GT Goku missions, right? Like, there you go. That's a huge... This is where last year's far eclipses it. And this is where you could say, I guess that there was more content last year, but it's not... Like, when you put it, like, next to each other like this year is not as bad as people think. It's just the biggest problem is that the content sucks compared to last year. That's what it is. The content is just bad compared to last year. So, all right. gamers, let me know what you think. Again, I'm going to upload this video right away. I think we're probably going to see Tech Broly at 4 a.m. We will see. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys next time.